Do you know what you want out of life? Are you getting the results you are looking for? Do you feel that you are wasting too much time on non-productive activities?
Everyone has the right and the potential to live their dreams. But the question is, where do you begin? What path do you follow?
Discover Bob's step-by-step process, the disciplines and the secrets of personal leadership to turn these questions into answers. The results are measurable and lasting.
Do you have the right to fail? Are you using failure to diminish or destroy your self-worth, your self-confidence? Or are you using failure to grow your courage and increase your self-confidence? Are you making the best out of your failures? Hello, this is Bob Urichuck, and welcome to this week's video learning program. Over the last few weeks, we've been sharing some of the rights from discipline number 1 with you. These rights are really the foundation to your future success. So we're going to go through them one by one, and each Wednesday over the next few weeks we will continue to do so that we cover all 10 rights with you. Today's right is the right to fail. Now, we all have the right to fail, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Henry Ford said it best though. Henry Ford says, with failure comes an opportunity to start again more intelligently. So, rather than me going through failure right here, why don't we go live to a presentation I did recently. Share with you. The first one is you have the right to fail. Do you have the right to fail?
Yes.
Why aren't you failing more often?
I am.
Perfect. So you give yourself permission to fail. But what is it about people that stop them from trying? Fear, exactly. You see, fear stops us dead in our tracks. You see, fear is nothing but a state of mind. As a matter of fact, what you think about is what you attract. If you have a fear, you're going to attract that fear in your life. And fear, actually, the acronym, the short form for fear, F-E-A-R, stands for false evidence appearing real. My wife has a fear of snakes. Every time she goes down to the garden, all the snakes come out to say hello to her. She attracts them in her life. I go down, I don't see any snakes because I don't have the fear of them. But this is what happens. But you see that fear of failure. But go back to when you were young. You got on you were probably, 5, 6 years old. You had a desire to learn how to ride a 2-wheel bicycle. You got on the bicycle. Did you succeed? Not the first time. What happened? You fell. You failed. But you had the courage to do what? Get up and do it again and again and again until you mastered it. Is it fair to say that you got to fail often to succeed once? And think about it. Success is based on good judgment. Good judgment comes from experience. And how does one get experience? By failing. But what do we do when we fail? We beat ourselves up, don't we? We criticize ourselves. We lower our self-esteem. We lower our self-confidence to the point where we don't even feel good about ourselves, to the point where we don't even have the courage to try. You see, I was 22 years old when I realized I lost the first 20 years of my life. I was born in a small family business. Didn't really have a childhood. It was work all the time, and didn't go on vacations and didn't really ride a bike, didn't play sports, didn't watch sports. But here I am now, I'm 20 years old, realized, I got a lot of catching up to do. I could do like the rest of the world and I could think about it. And what happens when we start to think about doing something? Time flies by. We don't do it exactly because when we think about it, fear sets in. And we start, what if, what if, what if? Right? With fear comes indecision. With indecision comes procrastination. With procrastination comes paralysis, and we don't do a darn thing. But you see, who did it to us? We did it to ourselves. We have become our own worst enemy. So here's the thing I decided to do differently. When I was 22 years old, I realized that you got to fail often to succeed once. So rather than beating myself up all the time and lowering my self-esteem and self-confidence, I decided to give myself permission to fail, as you said, 10 times a day, every day. Permission to fail. Now, what is it about failure? Why did I do that? What is the outcome of failure? Learning, exactly. That's how you learn. It's through trying, failing, learning. I mean, think of it. Walt Disney went bankrupt 13 times before Disney World ever became a success. How many times did Henry Ford or the Wright brothers fail? Right? They weren't instant successes. Bill Gates didn't come up with Microsoft just like that. He went through many failures as well. You see, you have to fail often to succeed once. So when I realized that, what I did is, rather than beating myself up, I said to myself, I'm going to give myself permission to fail, permission to have 10 learning opportunities a day, permission to try something I've never done before. And when I'd fail, I didn't beat myself up. The first thing I would do is go, okay, Bob, what did you learn from this? The minute I got a lesson learned, I would tap myself on the shoulder and say, hey, good one, Bob. You got a lesson learned and you had the courage to do something you never did before. Keep up the good work. What am I doing now? I'm building myself up. You see, I'm creating more courage within myself. I'm creating more self-confidence so that I feel better, and it gives me that courage to keep moving forward. And I can tell you something, that I failed so much in my life that the cards are now stacked in my favor for success. Don't you wish you'd failed more often? So give yourself permission to fail. And when you fail, don't beat yourself up, don't criticize yourself, build yourself up. Look for the lesson learned. Give yourself a tap on the shoulder, and always end it like this. Because if you do this too much, you end up with a big head. Doing this says, yeah, you're good, Bob, and don't let it get to your head. So go ahead, give yourself permission to fail, and give yourself a little tap on the back and cut it off. So, you have the right to fail. It's the greatest thing you can do. Have the courage to try things you've never done. Now, if somebody else fails, do you think you could criticize them any more than they criticize themselves? Absolutely not. Don't even go there. Your job is to recognize the fact that they failed and they're feeling kind of down, to help them find a lesson learned. The minute they got a lesson learned, hey, good stuff, Bob. Keep up the good work. And that's what you got to do. That's what builds them up. Because this all relates around people's self-esteem. And this is what's happened a lot. Too many people have been so critical of themselves, they devalued themselves and taken them down. Well, I hope you enjoyed that session. Keep in mind that you have the right to fail. You got to fail often to succeed once. Failure is based on good judgment. Good judgment comes from experience. And experience comes from failing. Give yourself permission to fail and use that as a learning opportunity to grow. Now, go to disciplinedforlife.com. That's disciplinedforlife.com and download free of charge the first 3 chapters of Disciplined for Life. You are the author of your future. With that, I'll start providing you with some free email coaching. Thank you very much for spending this time with us. Have a great week.